Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where we chat about personal, professional, and financial success stories. Today, I have Jeremy Hans, who I've known probably 7-8 years through different investing groups and real estate groups. He's back in Texas after many years, and Jeremy has a whole list of businesses that he's involved with real estate, B2B services, fund, and I'll let him kind of go into more of that, some of those things more deep. He also was a Navy helicopter pilot and instructor for 11 years or more. And so really neat stuff there that's serving our country. So we're very appreciative of that and glad to have him on. And Jeremy also, if you can just give us a little rundown of what you're doing, what you're involved in, kind of your investment, professional history would be great.
Yeah, so started life as a Navy helicopter pilot. And, really, if I start off, it's kind of all screwed up. So 2007, graduate, join the Navy, go to flight school. There's not enough time to get started, right? So I have to sit and wait for 6 months. And in those 6 months, I watched way too much CNBC, and I ended up taking a $55,000, two different loans, right, from military banks to invest to start your life. And I put it all in individual stocks. And as a 22, 23-year-old, you might have heard about 2008, I lost all $55,000 to the market crash. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, right? And so it made me realize, hey, I'm not as smart as I think I am. I can't just get lucky. I got to get smarter. And so that sent me down the rabbit hole of, hey, what's better, right? And so eventually led me to personal finance and then buying real estate. So started that in 2010 in San Diego. And then 5 years later, I got stationed in Pensacola and started investing in syndications and started syndicating at the same time. And so was very fortunate to kind of be on the front end of kind of the run-up. And so I did that for 4 or 5 years while I was still on active duty, flying helicopters in the Navy. I loved it, but I also knew it was never going to be a full-time career for me. There's more work for people who do better, but no more pay, and that just didn't seem to sit right with me. And so built a real estate company until I got out. Continued in the Navy as a reservist, still in reservist today, and still building the business. And then in 21, as the real estate was still continuing to grow, about 1,000 units plus that we were general partners on. We also tried to buy a company, screwed up the entire process, ended up with a tiny little stake, but ended up spending the next 2.5 years helping run and grow Velocity Restorations, which is now the largest restorer of classic cars in the country. And so we went from 40 employees and, mom doing the finances on Excel to having a real 160-person company and building about 120 trucks a year. And then last year we decided, I got 4 kids. Wife and I are here from the Dallas, Texas area, and decided to move back, get close to family, and kind of reset. So at 40 years old, here I am, now looking to buy another business here in the Dallas area and try to do it one more time.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What a great story. And thanks again for your service in the military. That's awesome. Yeah, sure. So with, it sounds like you're looking maybe M&A, mergers and acquisition type stuff. There's seem to be that competition maybe building up. What are you doing, or in any of your business, what are some of the things you're doing to set yourself apart or how to be better, maybe, or even personally, like, is there something fitness wise or something you're doing that somebody may grow from?
I love the question because honestly, I don't think that people ask it, right? And the comment that I've been making recently is I like to zig when everybody else is zagging, right? And so if everybody's doing the same thing, it's really tough to stick out. But I also say on the other side of it, and I think you've probably seen in real estate too, it's not like what I'm trying to do is all that complicated. Most people just don't do the uncomplicated, easy things consistently long enough, right? Mm-hmm. And so you say, hey, I'm going to go buy a business. Well, great. Are you actually going out looking every day? Or are you looking once a month or every other month, right? If you say you're going to go reach out to brokers, well, are you actually going to meet the brokers? Or are you just sending an email hoping and pray they call you back, right? You got to put a little bit more effort into it. Maybe that's get on the phone. Maybe that's having a whole sequence of emails. Maybe that's going and meeting them in person. Maybe that's finding somebody that knows them, try to find an introduction to them. But it's all the little things I think that really at the end of the day make it work. And then second, right, I think story matters. And so military background, ran a business, have a little bit of funds to my name, right? I think that I'm likable. I tell good stories. And so, right, I want old guys to like me. And so if they're looking to sell their business and kind of keep a legacy, I'm trying to be the person that they can provide that opportunity for them. So, I think it's doing the consistent stuff well, thinking about how you can do it a little bit differently, right? I'll tell you one of the secrets right now I'm using is video. Anybody can put their phone up, take a video and send it to somebody. Nobody does. So when you do it, it hits. And then
Connects better. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just why send an email to introduce yourself? Do a 1-minute clip on YouTube, unlisted link, send it to them. People are like, wow, I've never seen this before, right? And it's not hard. Anybody can do it, but nobody does. And so that's the kind of stuff that I think really can help set me apart.
Well, and that's awesome getting out of the box. But one thing I think you hit on too is just doing it consistently. That's what, when I'm talking to people about real estate, I'm like, it's not super hard. It's not brains. It's not flying a helicopter. It's doing it consistent. But if it just fell in your lap, everybody would do it and you wouldn't be able to make money at it. It's the people that can stick through it. It took me over a year and a half to get my first multifamily deal. I did a couple of LP investments, but it was sticking with it. That's, and since I've done 9 syndications. Yeah. So, but it just, I could have given up at a year or 14 months and never got there. So it's
listen, you're going to make mistakes, right? My very first syndication, the guy that we were buying from died 2 days before closing, 2014.
Oh, wow.
You know what happens when somebody dies? Well, it goes to probate. So I learned about the probate process and ended up losing $70,000, $80,000 in just attorney fees as the bank gave the property back to or as the attorney gave the property back to the bank. But that doesn't sink you, right? Like I learned the process. I'd raised some money. I was able to say, hey, this one didn't work. And so my partner and I went out and bought another property while that was still in probate, and just proved you can keep moving. So, just see bumps as part of the story and not necessarily things that stop you, and just keep moving.
Awesome. Yeah. We've had a deal where the whole flood situation, where FEMA expanded a flood zone into after our earnest money had gone hard. It's a learning lesson, but yeah, we didn't take that as a, pack up and go home. It's right. Let's learn. I'm going to take these bumps and bruises and grow from it, not run and hide. So good stuff. Did you have any books or podcasts, anything you're consistently listening to, or a book you've recently read that maybe somebody would benefit from?
Yeah. So, I read a lot. So 50 to 70 books for the last probably 10, 12 years per year. And so It's tough to put a pin on any single one. The few that I'm going to go back to all the time, especially with small business operations, and I'll tell you what really scaled my real estate business and also really helped scale Velocity, was applying the book Traction, the EOS process. And so do I think that's a perfect process? No. Do I think it's actually got a ton of problems potentially if you're not careful? Yes. But that's a book that I have seen over and over again, a lot of success. The joke I made for a long time is everybody I know with a nicer airplane than me was running on EOS, and so I was going to do it too. And so it's worked out really well. That one probably is the core. I'll tell you one that nobody ever talks about, but to me is seminal as Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's a guy named MJ DeMarco, and it's called Millionaire Fastlane. And so it's this idea of like, hey, let's get into business. You can do it. You don't have to go the slow route. You can go find something that you have an edge and kind of push. And I read that 15 years ago, and that was just a little bit of a spark that I needed to say, let's go. Like, there's no reason to wait.
I may need to reread that. It's back there somewhere. I know I've read it, but it was probably 10 years ago or so. That's another one maybe to pull out and dust off. So I do have, you went over this next one, but I was going to ask about any challenges you overcome, but you spoke about that one deal where you had the deal go back to probate and you lost money on it, lost your money, maybe somebody else's money. And I think it's important to highlight that you didn't give up at that point. You chalk that up as a learning opportunity. And how I bet you were a little more, you may have worded something different in your next LOI or purchase sale agreement. So if that came up, you were covered. And
yeah, problems are going to arise, right? I've had every problem you probably have, I've had, right? I didn't buy nice properties in nice areas. I was buying rough stuff in rough places. So it inevitably came with other problems, whether that's hurricanes or shootings or fires or whatever else, right? If SWAT hasn't been at your apartment once or twice, right? Are you even living, right?
We've had a fentanyl lab at one. So that was actually my nicest location. So it was surprising that it happened there.
And listen, that stuff's going to happen. And so I think if you're trying to have this life that's all perfect and you're trying to treat your person like yourself, or your business like it's a machine that can be perfected and is never going to have any problems, you're just going to make yourself crazy. And so, grit has always been one of my kind of core values. It's not time. What do they say? It's not timing the market. It's time in the market for real estate. Right. And over and over again, that's proven to be the case. Granted, right. I started in 2010. And so I've only kind of seen the up case until recently. But I think there's something to be said, like just continue to move forward and do the right things. People see that, people know that. And, with time, a lot of things get better. And then, don't take stupid risk, right? If it's going to sink you, don't do it. And unfortunately, I think we're seeing it right now across the country, especially in the multifamily space. A lot of guys that extending themselves too far, and we're all, fighting now to figure out what that looks next.
Yeah. No, the next couple of years will be interesting, a really year and a half as some of these maturities are hitting from 21 and 22. It's going to be a bumpy road, but again, that's going to be a learning curve where, some people will come out of that, some won't. And it's just a matter of dusting yourself off and learning and being a better syndicator or business owner. You don't even have to stay in the multifamily world, but whatever route you head down, continue to apply those lessons that you've learned.
You asked earlier, like what's the thing that stands out, right? One of the things for me is just communication. It's amazing to me how many deals I've been in, real estate or business, in which, you don't ever hear anything about what's going on, whether it might be good or bad. But the fact that I don't get any kind of like consistent communication about something is crazy to me. And so when things are good, I'd like to know things are good. And when things are bad, I really want to know, right, what's happening, what's going on. And so I think that's one of those things too. Who over the next few years is actually going to communicate about these problems in a way that's transparent and real, and not just trying to hide the cheese until it expires.
Sure.
Versus who's going to just take it on the head. They're going to have the ugly conversations, get yelled at a little bit, and kind of keep moving forward.
For sure. And that our deals we had in Abilene went through COVID and a property management company replacement, and we still were sending out our monthly newsletters. About a stretch to 6 weeks every once in a while as we're getting some stuff squared away. But there was 6-12 months there where you're like, oh man, this is, especially when COVID, we just didn't know what was going to happen during COVID. Like, are we going to have any money to pay anything? Forget about distributions. Are we going to be able to pay our lender at some point if this spirals out of control?
Yeah.
It ended up not being near as bad as everybody was concerned with, but there was a month or two where we're like, oh man, this could be catastrophic, but it wasn't. But we kind of prepared for the worst, hoped for the best, and got through it all. And at the same time, did a property management change, which made a huge difference. But there was about a year where those deals were, we were sweating on them for a while.
Yeah, I remember I'm in one of those deals in Abilene. I remember we had the big ice storm in Texas in 2021, right? Had all kinds of damage, right? Hey, we're pausing distributions. We got to fix all this stuff. Hey, just be honest about it. Like this stuff happens. And if you're an investor, as an LP especially, and you think nothing bad's ever going to happen, like you're just not living in the real world. And so if you're betting on that next paycheck from that deal every single month, and that's the only thing that you got going, man, that's a scary place to be, right? You got to give a little bit of grace to these GPs. Nobody's out there trying to screw you. They're just trying to run their deals the best they possibly can.
For sure. Everybody's trying to make it a winning situation for everyone.
Yes.
Well, awesome. As for wrapping up, you have any exciting plans or anything that's in the work for the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, so I moved back here to Dallas to do the next hard thing, right? And so I feel like I've hit every real estate trend pretty early, and I did well on all of them. Quite honestly, I just didn't do well enough. I wish I would have, rid the wave higher, longer, a little bit faster, kind of thing, for more success. But I think the next thing now is, right, you got baby boomers got to retire. There's going to be a massive wealth transfer, and so I'm here like everybody else now, moving over to, hey, let's go buy a small business. So looking at playing this game on the hard mode. So I'm looking for a DFW-based business, preferably doing $1 million a year, bottom line or better. And I have a thesis too. Like I really think the world's kind of deglobalizing. We're seeing some more regionalization, and so anything that's kind of associated with bringing back some of those things that maybe we've lost over the last 25 years overseas, and that aren't going to be replaced by AI or other things exciting me. So services, especially around kind of manufacturing. So if anybody's got an opportunity, they know any businesses in that space, let's talk, right?
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for your time today and your insights and tips. And if people wanted to reach out and make contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
You can find me pretty much every social media out there is Jeremy Hans, but you can email me at jeremy@etlfund.com. I'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.